Freedom's greetings, Helldivers! Ervin here again, and a new chapter in the Galactic War of Helldivers 2 has just begun, with a long-awaited full invasion force of the Illuminate pulling right up on Super Earth's doorstep. In this video, though, I'm going to be going quickly over all of the things that you need to know about the latest patch, as far as major changes, new enemies, and important fixes. First off, new enemies. The Illuminate have bolstered their ranks with an enemy I simply refer to as the Meatball. He has a charge startup animation and kind of functions like an armorless charger with a ton of hit points. He'll run at you and try to melee you down, but is overall pretty easily dealt with as long as you have a high DPS support weapon like any of the machine guns, or funny enough, the Wasp launcher of all things has been proving pretty effective, knocking them out in just 4 shots, or 3 shots with a light peppering from your primary after. They've also got the new Stingray fighter jet style ship that strafes the battlefield similar to Eagle 1, except you're the target. These lock onto you from anywhere on the map as soon as they spawn, pretty much, then try to take you out. They're extremely fast and only really vulnerable when winding up to fire or while strafing overhead. The Wasp launcher and HMG have proven extremely effective against these targets as well, with the Wasp knocking them out in just 2 shots. The ship itself is well armored, so some kind of launcher or high penetration support weapon is now extremely advised when taking on Illuminate missions if you want it to run smoothly. And lastly, they now have the Crescent Overseer, which is functionally the same as the other two Overseers in anatomy, but carries a Halo Wraith style mortar launcher on his shoulder that he can use to ping your location from behind cover 100 meters out, making them extremely dangerous when being swarmed by other threats and difficult to take out if they happen to be in an entrenched location. But the Illuminate's invasion wasn't the only new content we received. We also now finally have weapon customization, allowing you to add drum magazines, different optics, foregrips, and so on to your favorite weapons, all tied into a new leveling progression system that finally gives veteran players some numbers to raise once again. I put out a full video on the subject of customization today as well, so be sure to check that out for all the details. We also got some major rebalances to how the game works in the form of reduced spread factor across the board, especially for pistol caliber weaponry. This is most notable for the Reprimand, which previously had the highest spread factor in the game of any non shotgun. After this global change to spread factor, this and many other weapons fire much more accurately, with no weapon having more than 5 points of spread, when the previous peak for the Reprimand was 40 whole points. Now, if you miss your headshots on a Hulk with the Senator, it's purely a skill issue with no RNG involved. To keep this buff in check, though, Arrowhead did see fit to ramp up the damage falloff for pistol caliber weaponry at long ranges. So while your SMGs and pistols are going to be much more accurate in pinging your targets, expect them to lose damage over range much quicker than before. Overall, I find this trade pretty acceptable, as reduced damage at range definitely feels better than bullets veering wildly off course due to no fault of your own. Stamina costs for melee weapons have been rebalanced, now costing half as much stamina per swing as before, making melee combat less punishing to engage in and easier to reposition during. Shrapnel has been rebalanced again to always bloom in a 360-degree spread and hit the target you fired the actual bullet at instead of magically avoiding it by blooming in the opposite direction. To keep this balanced, they've opted to also reduce the penetration value of shrapnel at bad angles. Overall, this means if you land a bad connection with an armored target, or land a shot on a target that the shrapnel simply can't penetrate, you can still expect to eat a face full of shrapnel for your troubles. But good connections will be more rewarding and dealing more damage than before. This change has affected the autocannon's flak, the frag grenade, and of course, the ever-changing R36 eruptor, making my latest eruptor video obsolete for the third time now. Fire damage has also been rebalanced in this patch. Burning damage was always useless against tanky or large targets due to burning for flat amounts of damage that were minuscule compared to the thousands tank class enemies had. Burning now takes longer to inflict on targets, but deals more damage to large enemies than it did previously, making it more viable to actually burn tanks to death instead of using it like a discount laser cannon for the beam's DPS. I don't have the details on the numbers just yet, but if I had to guess, they've shifted it from a flat 50 burning damage per tick to a percent health based system to ensure the effect stays viable against all targets. This does not affect the damage our Helldivers take from fire, though, and we are now more difficult to set on fire than we were previously, which is nice. Getting into some numerical balancing changes for our gear, the Liberator Penetrator has received one extra spare magazine. Yay. The Flam 66 Torture now has 25% more magazine capacity, making it even better at area denial, sporting the deepest fuel tank by far in its class. Although the Flam 40, to stay competitive, has also gotten a 30% increase to its fuel capacity so that it can keep up. The Eruptor's ergonomics was massively buffed from a dismal -14, the lowest in the game, to 25, making it much more responsive to aim. The fire rate was also buffed from 25 RPM to 32. It's also worth mentioning that this has removed the exploit with the Eruptor's firing animation for infinite fire rate. So if you were still doing that, you'll have to give it up or just figure out a different way that Arrowhead hasn't patched out yet. The accelerator rifle has finally gotten justice. Its damage fall off has been reduced to 15% of its previous amount, making it the only primary sniper rifle in the game actually worth using at sniper ranges. Hooray! Won't do much for its non existent ammo supply, but at least it'll kill stuff when you shoot it now. So the ultimatum was nerfed, no other way to put it. Its explosive damage was doubled. The inner explosion radius was halved, though. The projectile damage was neutered from 3,500 down to only 1,000, and the demolition force has been reduced from 50 to 40, meaning it can no longer destroy Titan nests or jammers for you. But hey, I guess it works with Hellpod space optimization again. Pretty big L, not happy at all. They won't stop messing with this thing. The jump pack has increased brake force on landing, making it more difficult to ragdoll on entry. This was always pretty avoidable, but I'm sure some Helldivers were waiting for this change. On the enemy balance front, bunker turrets for the automatons are now much less laser accurate, making them far less deadly at 100 meters out. Shotgun fire devastators now also deal significantly less damage per pellet, making it much more difficult for them to one shot you, and the fire buildup has been reduced, meaning you'll also be burned by them less often. Automaton gunships have randomly had their body armor reduced from 4 to 3, and their main health has been reduced from 950 to 700. I don't know who asked. I mean, this means basically nothing for you if you were already used to firing at their thrusters, but what does mean something to you is they now fire more accurately than before, which is pretty scary. Bulk fabricators in city maps were underwhelming before due to being so easily destroyed, the same as any old fabricator. They've addressed this by buffing their health from 1500 to 5000, meaning you'll need to use demolition force or a hell of a lot more ordnance to destroy them than before. And lastly, landed Illuminate ships now have health pools instead of only being destructible through demolition force, making them much easier to destroy than before with a variety of tank class penetrating weapons. There was also some miscellaneous fixes, but nothing too impressive, with some very modest performance improvements that you'll likely not feel. Overall, the patch was a pretty big W for me, and for Arrowhead and the community. It's just too bad that Master of Ceremony Warbond is still so unapologetically terrible, or this week would be an absolute win. This story arc is also just getting started, so expect many more surprises and drops in the near future because Helldivers 2 is well and truly finally back. Like me and this plushie, for a limited time only, 3 weeks, get your very own Ghost Diver plushie at the link provided in the description and pinned comment below before they disappear from the galaxy forever. Thank you to my coffee supporters for keeping the channel going, and thank you for watching till the end. I'll see you next time.